welcome to a special edition of NJ News Now. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. New Jersey First Lady Tammy Murphy has announced her candidacy for the Senate seat, currently occupied by Senator Bob Menendez. Here to talk about the big news shaking up the Garden State political scene is On New Jersey's political correspondent, Laura Jones. Hi, Laura.
Lisa, good to see you.
Always great to be here with you. What do you make of this groundbreaking announcement?
Well, what comes to mind is this is big news. It's making all of the headlines in the national as well as state publications. And yet at the same time, this is New Jersey, right? Let's think about the headlines just for the past few weeks. We had Senator Bob Menendez indicted a second time on federal corruption charges. That was a huge headline that dominated the news. Then just last week, we had New Jersey Governor Jim McGreevey announcing that he's going back into politics. And now we have Governor Murphy's wife, Tammy Murphy, saying, hey, I want to run for U.S. Senate. So those are some pretty big headlines, no doubt. And if Tammy Murphy were to be successful, I think the huge headline out of that would be, it would be the first woman that New Jersey has sent to the U.S. Senate. We have sent a female to Congress, but we have not sent a woman to the Senate. And we haven't sent a Republican there since 1972. So definitely really big news out of New Jersey today.
Laura, did you have inkling before this that Tammy Murphy had these political aspirations?
Well, definitely when the news was breaking of Bob Menendez, names started percolating. The name heard most often is Congressman Andy Kim of South Jersey. He made it very clear that he was very interested in the seat, and her name came up. But I also want to take you back to the summer when Sheila Oliver, our lieutenant governor, passed away, and Phil Murphy was in a position to name a successor. And one of the things a lot of the pundits were talking about is he wanted to have someone in that office that wasn't necessarily interested in becoming governor. And he was leaning on his wife, Tammy Murphy, for guidance. Did her name come up as a candidate? No, but people started just talking a little bit about her. So her name was on the radar, but who knew? Again, this is New Jersey. Who knew what was coming down the pike for Senator Bob Menendez with these charges of federal corruption, gold bars, and cash found at his house? So once that news came out that, Bob Menendez had been indicted for a second time, again, we had a lot of Andy Kim expressing interest, and Tammy Murphy's name came up a few times. And then about a week or so ago, there was some movement looking like that she was going to be getting some financing in place. So a surprise, not super surprising to those who are really into New Jersey politics. But, again, it certainly is grabbing a lot of national headlines. Tammy Murphy is very popular outside of the state as well. She's very well liked and very well respected, as is Governor Phil Murphy. And no doubt that she'll be able to raise a lot of money outside the state.
Yeah, that's interesting because she grew up in Virginia, and looking at her background as a Republican, funny enough. Obviously, she's running here as a Democrat. She has knowledge from both sides of the aisle. How is that going to help her?
That will be interesting to see how that plays, right? Because she voted consistently or fairly consistently as a Republican as recently as 2014. So that will be something that is definitely brought into the campaign. But I think what will also be brought into it is that in 2018, she supported Bob Menendez for re-election after he had beat those first charges in the federal trial. She supported him for re-election. So I think that there'll be more questions about that the Republicans ultimately, once they start coming after whoever the Democrats pick as a nominee, I think those will be the things that they are looking at right now. I don't see anybody really coming after Tammy Murphy that hard, criticizing her at this point. It is so early. Again, she could be the first female candidate to have a shot at representing New Jersey in the upper house.
Tammy Murphy has been very involved as First Lady in a variety of different projects, a lot to do with family, right. Pregnancy and rights, dealing with the unborn. What makes her qualified to be a United States Senator?
Well, one of the things that I was reading up on before I came here, she already gave an interview to the New Jersey Globe. And one of the things that she says is she doesn't have DC experience. She has experience in New Jersey as the First Lady, as somebody who's been involved during the pandemic, raising a lot of money, as you mentioned, as her platform and as First Lady, helping maternal fetal medicine, helping unborn children, helping those mothers. And she's also been a very huge advocate of clean energy. That's where she could have some problems, though, because we had those two huge windmill projects pull out of New Jersey, and that is causing Governor Phil Murphy's popularity to kind of decrease in New Jersey. But, she admits, hey, listen, I don't have DC experience. The experience I have is that of being First Lady in New Jersey. I know what it takes to go. I know how to connect with the people. I will be able to relate to the voters, listen to the voters, and that's what I want to be able to do. And also, hey, I've got my own portfolio of what I've been able to do as First Lady. And so much of that has to do with maternal fetal care and also green energy, clean energy.
Yeah, in the arts too. Her and her husband are very involved in that. They put together a statewide festival earlier this year. Obviously, getting Netflix into the state is huge, and Tammy's been very involved in that side as well.
Right, right. Yeah. And again, what will be interesting to see is she's already starting to get support. Hudson County Democrats, that is where Bob Menendez is from. Pretty much everybody in Hudson County has come out in support for Tammy Murphy, with the exception of Bob Menendez's son, who is the congressman from that area. That will be another side story to watch. Will his son get involved? Will they cut some type of a deal? I'd love to be a fly on the wall in Hudson County politics to find out what's happening. We also had the former governor, who is also former Senate President, Dick Cody, who's retiring from the legislature. He last week came out and supported Tammy Murphy. So Tammy Murphy is going to get a lot of support from the institution, a lot of party support. But will that translate into the voters of New Jersey? It's certainly going to help her raising money. It could help her on the line where she is on the ticket. But does that necessarily mean she's going to be relatable to the voters? Because one of the things, and this is when the Bob Menendez story was breaking, I asked somebody about, oh, well, the governor's wife said, what do you think about the governor's wife running for U.S. Senate? And the individual came back and said, that was really insulting. You shouldn't just call her the governor's wife. She has a lot more there. But that's not necessarily how it plays with the people in New Jersey. They might think, well, it's just the governor's wife, and they're doing this to just enhance their political profile. Do they really connect with New Jersey? And Governor Murphy has gotten some criticism about how he's way more popular outside the state as opposed to inside the state of New Jersey. And even looking to this last election, where the legislature was at the top of the ticket, you didn't see Phil Murphy on the campaign trail. You saw a lot of candidates, Democrats, running away from Phil Murphy, not necessarily needing him to win that. So that will be certainly interesting. But a lot of the party faithfuls are starting to line up behind Tammy Murphy. But again, Congressman Andy Kim has said he's going to run and is interested and and he's got experience. He's got experience in DC. He's got a track record, and he's no doubt going to put up one heck of a fight too.
Absolutely. Do you think that this news also enhances Phil Murphy's look to politics after his tenure is over? I know that there were rumblings that he was maybe flirting with running for the presidency. Probably not this time, perhaps next time. Do you think this goes hand in hand?
I think every decision, they think things out a few steps along the line. Will they admit that publicly? No, they're going to say it's about right here, right now. It's going to be about serving the people. But definitely, listen, Phil Murphy is again, very popular outside the state as well within the party. There could be a position for him as an ambassador. There could be some type of a cabinet position that he is eyeing up. But is that something they'll necessarily talk about on the campaign trail? Tammy Murphy is saying, hey, listen, as my time as First Lady, I know what it's like to get out. I know what it's like to connect with the voters. I hear what's going on. I don't think our representatives have done a good job, and I want to be that representative. I want to get in there. I want to bring what I've done at the state of New Jersey into Washington, D.C., and that's why I think I'm qualified, and then I'm going to do a good job. That's the message that she's going to be talking about. And again, looking at her own portfolio to say, look at what I've done in New Jersey. Look what I've done to help maternal fetal medicine. Look what I've done to help clean, green energy. Look what I've done in the arts. And I'm out there not necessarily doing what my husband says I should be doing, or just standing by my man. I have my own platform as First Lady that she will be leaning on and using that to say, hey, listen, I can make a difference. And that could really connect with voters as well. And that could make for a very attractive candidate.
Yeah, and she's got a personality, Tammy Murphy. You and I have both interviewed her and spoken to her, and she's very relatable, which a lot of politicians, as we know, sometimes could be hard for them to come across that way.
Right. And again, this is the first female running for U.S. Senate. There is a mayor, and my mind is blanking on the Republican side, who has expressed an interest in running for U.S. Senate. But she has a platform now, so she is used to getting out and keeping a busy schedule. And, she's part of the executive branch and that of U.S. Senate, very, very different, right? When Christy Whitman was governor, and then when she went to go work for the Bush administration, that of being in the governor, First Lady's office, that's a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. When you're in D.C. in the U.S. Senate, or when Christy Whitman worked for Bush administration, it wasn't the same executive level as the CEO. It's more that representative spot. So it would definitely be a different pace. So yeah, it's never a dull moment.
No, definitely not. Laura, thank you for taking a few moments out of your busy day to come on here and talk more about this developing story. And I guess we all have to stay tuned to see what's coming next.
Well, that's it. In New Jersey, you just don't know what headline will be grabbing the papers next, the television next. Like I said, we had Menendez charged with corruption, Jim McGreevy's back, and now Tammy Murphy's running for U.S. Senate. So you never know.
Laura Jones, thank you so much. And you could watch her right here on New Jersey. And for more on this developing story, you can watch on New Jersey anytime on your Roku or Fire TV. And of course, on any device at ONNJ.com.